Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. So, I'm Jen, and I am with my co host Dan. And today we're going to be talking about natural healing. We get so many questions about natural healing. What is that? What does that mean? One of our biggest problems is clients will come to us and they'll say, I'm having trouble with this, or I have pain with this, or my doctor said I have this. What herbs should I use? And that's not the way we work. That's the way the medical system works. They look at symptoms, but we look at things in a totally different way. So I am Jen Whitmire. I am known as Holistic Jen. We're both master herbalist. I also hold a master's in health science. I am a board certified health educator. I'm also certified in nutritional endocrinology. And my whole world revolves around food and natural healing. So Dan, share your experiences and your thoughts on natural healing.
Well, natural healing is, it's kind of a blanket statement, but it encompasses a lot of things. I've had people, like you just said, they're so conditioned by the medical system that, okay, my blood pressure is high, so the doctor put me on a blood pressure lowering drug, or my cholesterol is high, he put me on a cholesterol drug. So, and he sends me home, just take these pills and you'll be fine. Don't worry about your lifestyle. I'm not saying all doctors do that, but they're so busy these days. They're like, just take this pill, and he goes on to the next patient. They'll come to me and say, hey, Daniel, I don't really like the way this drug makes me feel, or it's not helping me as much as I thought it would. Do you have a herb that I can take? I say, well, I do, but that's not how natural healing works. Natural healing, in my definition, is you take responsibility for yourself. You take full responsibility for your own health. Doctors take it away from you, in my opinion. They go, just take this pill and sit on the couch and keep doing what you do. You'll be fine now. That's a lie. I'm talking about being responsible for everything in your life.
Right.
Oh, my background, I am a certified master herbalist. I am a traditional naturopath, exercise science. I have a dietetics degree, and I help people get healthier with exercise, nutrition, herbs, and herbal detoxification. So,
Yeah, I think that's important. And I really love how you shared about that, especially with the heart health. So where someone comes to you and they're talking, like they said, someone's going, my heart, what herbs should I use? Um, that whole method, even in the conventional world method. So you go to your regular doctor, your regular GP, and they run blood work or whatever, and they say something's wrong with your heart, and they send you to the cardiologist. The cardiologist specializes in the heart. And so they give you meds or whatever they do for you to treat your symptoms, what's going on with your heart. You have high blood cholesterol, they give you some of the lower statins, which we can give you an herb that can help with that. You have high blood pressure, they give you something to adjust those hormones that affect your blood pressure, which we can give you herbs for that. But giving you those herbs or the doctor giving you that medicine is going to cause other issues because you don't have high blood pressure or high blood lipids because you are deficient in that herb or that medicine. And so what we're saying here is when in the medical system or in a herbal system where you're working like that, we're only looking at the heart when we need to be looking at what's causing the blood lipids to be out of whack, what's causing blood pressure to be up. There's an underlying cause here, and we need to focus on bringing the body back into balance, restoring that balance.
yeah, and if you don't restore the balance, you're always going to have the problem.
Right.
So,
Yeah, those herbs aren't going to do you any good. I mean, they might help you for a little while, but guess
yeah.
what? Something else is going to happen too. It's just going to come out in some other different way, and you're not going to realize that's related to the heart. You're going to think, oh, I have a whole nother issue, and it is a whole nother issue, but it's right now is going to wherever your weakness is, which is the heart. And
Yeah.
how many clients do you have who are on multiple medications and then they're on medications to counteract the medications?
Oh yeah, they'll bring their bag. That
Yeah.
intimidates me. I had one lady bring a whole bag of
Yeah.
medicine to my consultation. I was like, "Oh my God, what can I do with you?" Uh, you
Right.
know, it's
Right.
crazy. It's crazy.
Right.
Polypharmacy is a big problem in this country.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of, and well, I can't remember, you'll know because you're a stat person. um, what I know in the top 10 causes of death, I know Dr. Greger talks about it. One of the top leading causes of death is medically induced death from something going on in the hospital, the crossing of the medications, overdosing of medications, improper medications, and things like that.
I understand it's number three.
Number
It's
three,
right,
I knew you
it's
would
right
know.
behind cancer. So you got heart disease number one, cancer number two, doctor error number three. And this and doctor error, like you're saying, it can be something in the hospital, but it's also people just taking prescription medication exactly the way the doctor told them to do, and they get a reaction and it kills them.
Right, right,
So,
right. You're right. How many things are over the counter that really
oh,
shouldn't be over the counter? And sometimes they're over the counter here, but not in any other country. And sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes they have things that they can buy over the counter that we can't here in the US. But I will find like I had a client the other day who was taking, if something happens, I don't want to breach their um the confidentiality. But there was an over-the-counter product that they would take for inflammation, and they would combine two of them and take three pills at one time when they had an issue arise and take three of them. Well, they're over the counter. It should be safe, right? Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Especially if you're looking at something like Tylenol. I used to give my kids, even when they were really little, their first doctor. The second doctor was awesome. But the first doctor, they said if they have a fever, give them Tylenol and Advil together. You give them both of them the first time, and then you would alternate one of them every 4 hours and one of them every 6 hours. It's like, oh my God, I totally was poisoning my kids. you know?
yeah.
And now we read about Tylenol and the effects on the kidneys. It's like, well, yeah, let's do that to a baby. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Eh,
every drug is toxic, even the ones you can get over the counter. They're all toxic to the liver and the kidneys and the stomach. I think it's
yes.
aspirin causing bleeding ulcers in some people. So,
Amen. It's not a food. It's not something that was man-made. I mean, not something that was
yeah,
God-made
yes.
and easily assimilated by our body. Our body has to work hard to break apart that capsule. And think about tablets. I mean, how many things are combined to form that hard little tablet? And then how hard does your body have to work to break down that? I mean, put a tablet in water and see what happens, right?
Yeah,
And so we
yeah.
had to figure out how do you break that down and then absorb it, and then it has fillers to hold it together. How does your liver handle that? How do your kidneys handle all that? So I'm totally going on a tangent today. So that's the opposite of natural healing. So if we flip it around, our bodies are created to heal themselves.
And you're not really on a tangent about all these drugs because the first thing I want to do is I want to get you to stop doing all the things that is keeping you sick. And taking all these drugs all the time, that is one of the things that is keeping you sick. We want to stop doing all the things that are making us sick and start doing all the things that will make us healthy.
Yeah.
It's just simple, but it's difficult for people to make all the necessary changes.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mrs. Patient, Mr. Patient, I have high blood pressure and I have trouble with my knees. And so I take a leave for my knees, and my doctor has put me on some blood pressure medicine. And I can walk okay. I just have to remember to take my leave every day, and I just have to make sure I take my blood pressure medicine every day. So I'm okay. What is your response to that?
Well, the only thing the blood pressure drug is doing in the Aleve is it's just making the symptoms more tolerable for your body. but it's not getting rid of the underlying cause, which in a lot of sounds like you have a lot of inflammation. And inflammation is the driver of most of our diseases. It's already been shown in many, many studies. So your lifestyle, you're doing things in your lifestyle that's actually making you inflamed on the inside, and probably your I think it's the CRP levels. Is that right? Yeah,
Mhm.
those are probably up, which is an indicator of a possible heart disease. And so I would say you need to start, I would teach you to start changing your diet and other things to start to lower your inflammation, because there, I mean, inflammation can actually drive blood pressure too. So,
Mhm.
and obviously if your knees are hurting, they're inflamed.
Right. Right. And a lot of times people think it's just from an old injury.
Yeah.
I played sports or I twisted my knee or whatever, and maybe it is out of alignment and you need to have it adjusted and put back in alignment. But we need to figure out what's going on, why it hasn't recovered. Because, like we said, the body is created to heal itself. You cut your hand, you don't have to do anything really to get
Yeah.
the skin to come back together and regrow skin, and maybe you'll have a scar. Sometimes you'll even have a scar. If the body can do that, the body can repair all your other systems as well. Unfortunately, the older we get, the harder it is for our body to do those things if we haven't been living a healthy lifestyle all along. If we start out as a child with all clean, whole foods, born vaginally, started off with breast milk for 2 years, which seems crazy, right? That's like almost unheard of. But and that doesn't mean without food, having your food too, but supplemented with breast milk, and then whole foods and clean water. It's like how many children were started that way, and how many kids in primary school eat whole foods and drink water?
I bet zero.
Yeah, I mean, here where I live, I've seen the lunch menu at the
Oh, yeah.
schools, and I know. I mean, hardly anything is a whole food on the lunch menu list, even, much less water for their lunch.
Yeah, which, it shows you the whole system needs to be revamped.
Right.
They could, these the school system, they have these children, and they're responsible for these children for their health and their education, but they're feeding them crap. Of course, I'm getting on a tangent again, but it's not a tangent, because it starts from as soon as you're born. It really does.
Yeah.
Did
Before
your
you're
mom?
born.
Yeah, before. Did your mom breastfeed? What did your mother eat when she was pregnant?
Yeah.
All these affect you.
Yeah. 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 And as a matter of fact, it's back to what your grandmother ate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To produce the eggs that your mom had to produce you. Yeah. And so it goes a long ways back. Yes. And like our bodies are made to move. We have this lymphatic system that removes toxins and we have to move. We're meant to be up and moving around all day. And so here we are sitting at our desk doing the podcast. We should be moving, right? We have children that we start as early as 3K now. We have 3K where they sit at desks and they do have some playtime. In primary school, they do have some recess time. But even in our middle school here, they don't have recreation time or anything. They're in their desks all day long. Some schools will change classes in middle school, but sometimes they're in the same classroom all day long. And it's like, and our bodies are made to move. So we start at a very early age teaching them to sit. And then they go home and they sit and watch TV and they play their video games, or they sit at the computer, or they sit like we are in front of the desk. And then you get an office job where you're sitting. And so we're at an early age, we're learning not to move and not to poop.
Yeah. Hold your poop, because you'll get made fun of. You had to go poop, right?
That's right. And you can only go to the bathroom between classes, or you have that 2 minute break to go to the bathroom. Then you don't need to go during class.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, Jennifer, is modern society is set up. If we had a user manual for the human body, we're totally threw it away, and we're going the opposite direction. We're the way we're living now is making us sick. Our ancestors, on the other hand, they had to move to survive. Like their whole day was gathering food, building shelter, whatever they had to do. And their food was whole and natural.
Right. As natural as it could get. Right.
Oh, yeah. I can remember
Right.
reading an article about the Native Americans, back on the plains in the 1800s. They were some of the healthiest people to ever live because they lived off the land. They moved all the time. All their food was whole. And then we start bringing in, I don't know what year it was, but then we start bringing in processed foods. And so the Indians eventually started to eat like we are. And now they're some of the sickest people
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the
One of the
world.
highest rates of diabetes.
Yeah. And coming from their ancestors, some of the healthiest, and now they have degraded to some of the unhealthiest people. But the good news is the body is pretty tough and resilient.
Right.
And so we can change now, and the body will get healthier. So
Yes.
there's, you know,
Yeah. But it does take time because
oh,
if
yeah.
like for me, I was born via C-section. I was in an incubator. I was never fed any breast milk. So I started off on a bad note,
Yeah.
right? It was an emergency C-section, so it was totally unexpected, but that's how it went, right? And so I started off that way. Now, not everybody starts off that way, but several kids do, right? But then I ate a heavy meat diet. And I was, meat 3 times a day, hamburgers and hot dogs meant a hamburger and a hot dog, lots of mayonnaise, lots of breads, not whole foods. And so I finally figured out, oh my gosh, probably in my 30s that I needed to start eating healthier. But I still wasn't wrapping my head around the whole foods thing. I was cutting back meat because I had learned in my master's that we only needed a little bit of tuna to get complete meat, complete proteins. Back then in the 90s, we thought you had to food combined to get complete proteins, or you could eat that small can of tuna to meet all of your essential amino acids. And I was shocked because I was like, I had gone from eating meat 3 times a day to that's really all the meat I need. And so then I started transforming there. But then I was still eating frozen dinners where when you read the ingredients, there's like 40 different ingredients in this teriyaki chicken, that none of it was whole foods. It was processed foods, even though it was rice, vegetables, and meat. It was loaded with chemicals, right? Anyway, I finally didn't eat whole foods until I was probably 44. Around 44, I started eating completely whole foods. No more processed foods. Finally gave up sodas and things like that. But that means for 44 years, I was creating inflammation in my body. I was overworking my liver. I was overworking my kidneys. I was putting strain on my heart and all of that. So I can't expect to be feeling fabulous by 46. And that's 2 whole years. So people will come in and they're like, I've been working with you, for a whole year and I still have this or this or this. And we have to look at, where were you 2 years ago? Or 1 year ago. And we can see an improvement, but we can't expect things to turn around. If 44 years you've been doing this, it's going to take a while to do repairs. And
Yeah.
going gluten free for a week is not good. It can make you feel a lot better, but it's not going to undo 44 years of damage.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Right.
It reminds me of Dr. Christopher said the body heals in cycles. Was it 7 weeks, seven
So,
months, 7 years?
yes,
Now, I'm not saying
yes,
it's going to take you 7 years to get better, but what I'm trying to say is you have to be patient, change your diet the way we teach, and then be patient and know that you're doing the right thing. If you stay on this path, you will get much healthier. It's impossible not to.
yes. And one of the things that I really like that we learned at the School of Natural Healing is, if something comes on slowly, we can
Mm.
work slowly to reverse it. I mean, make changes, but you don't have to make as drastic of a change because when you make a drastic change, you don't feel good for a while because it's shock to your system. But if something comes on with you on quickly, you want to attack it aggressively, like a virus. You wake up and you have a high fever, you have a cough where you felt good yesterday. We need to attack that. We need to act aggressively. It came on quickly. We're attacking it aggressively. Now, that being said, you find out you have stage 4 cancer. We need to attack that aggressively, even though it may have taken you 20 years to grow that stage 4 cancer. We have to attack that aggressively. And so that is when you do need to make a big change. But attacking that aggressively in a natural method versus chemo and radiation, you're going to feel pretty bad both ways, except you're going to have a whole much better recovery doing it naturally than with chemo
Oh
and
yeah.
radiation.
Yeah. Chemo destroys everything. So,
Right, right. And it's not a cure-all. There are people who have gone too far, as we talked about in our
oh
previous
yeah.
episode. Yeah, you have to have a willingness to live. You have to be willing to make the changes and do the work.
Oh yeah. I think
Yeah.
the willingness to live is probably the most important thing if you think about it, because if you don't want to live, you're going to be inflamed. Your immune system is going to be, it's not going to be working properly. The mindset is so important. So a
Right.
lot of these people that went, well, anyway, we talked about cancer last week, so I'm not going to go
Yes.
there, but you have to
Yes.
be, you have to have a great desire to want to live if you have cancer and you want to heal it naturally, because the routines, they're pretty strenuous. But the thing is, you're going to get a lot better without all of the gruesome side effects of chemo. So
Right.
anyway,
Right. So you said something about starting the cleanup, what's going on with around you. Let's just start about what to start with.
yeah,
Someone
yeah.
wants to start on a healing. So we're back to the client, Mrs. Patient with the inflamed knee and blood pressure. What did we start
Okay.
with?
Well, we're going to start, well, I always start with food and a few herbal supplements. We we like to start with a bowel cleanse. This is how we were taught in Dr. Christopher, and it helps a lot of people. So I say, start taking the lower bowel formula, and we want to start to transition your diet to more plant-based. And I know we talk about this a lot, and some people don't want to hear it, but if you look at the science like me and Jennifer have our whole lives, meat and dairy cause inflammation and problems within the body, problems like heart disease, problems like cancer and diabetes, all these diseases of modern lifestyle. Okay. And they're going to keep you inflamed. That's why your knees are hurting. That's probably why your blood pressure is too high. And gluten is also one plant food that we want to get out of the diet, because gluten, for most people, is going to cause inflammation. And look, I hate that too. I gave up gluten as well. It's just a fact of life. You ask Jennifer, she had to give it up too to get better. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the plant based, going more plant based. And I like to start with the lower bowel herbs. And if your blood pressure's up and you're doing the diet, I can recommend a few herbs too that can help you in conjunction with your diet. That's how I like to work.
Yes, yes. And looking at water. Are you
Oh,
drinking water and what's the quality of your water? Are you drinking good quality water that is not full of fluoride and chlorine? And so that is usually a big one, and that's not in plastic water bottles. We have to make sure that we're not putting into your body added chemicals, and those are not natural chemicals. They're added at the water treatment plant to kill bacteria. Well, that same thing will kill bacteria in you, and we don't want to kill all the bacteria, as well as affect your absorption of iodine. So fluoride, chlorine, they're all in the same category as iodine. Well, your thyroid regulates your body temperature, your energy levels, as well as many other things. It's called the master gland. And thyroid hormone is called T4 and T3. Your thyroid produces T4, it transforms into T3. Well, that 4 and that 3, those are iodine molecules. That's how important iodine is for the thyroid. But when we put in the body extra fluoride, extra chlorine, they can prevent the thyroid from absorbing the iodine. That fluoride and the chlorine can actually get stuck in those receptors, so you don't get the iodine that you need. And so that's number one with water. And maybe you're saying, but I don't have a thyroid condition. Well, If your metabolism is off, your energy level is off, your digestion is off, your mood is off, you've had weight changes, all of those can be related to the thyroid. And so you may think you don't have a thyroid problem, but there may be an underlying thyroid problem. And this is an easy way, this is an easy fix, clean water. And maybe you don't have a thyroid problem, but the clean water is going to help everything else anyway.
Well, how do you recommend they get the clean water?
Wow. Well, I like a water distiller. A lot of people like the reverse osmosis distillers, and those, there's pros and cons for both. It's it really it cracks me up. So at the School of Natural Healing, we only use distilled water. And I'll hear so many people say, yeah, but then that robs your bones of minerals. And it is called thirsty water. You are correct. It will gather up inorganic minerals. But study after study has proven it does not take the minerals out of your bones. It can remove some of the inorganic minerals that are in your joints. Some of your knee pain could be a buildup of inorganic minerals that you have taken in through supplements, and they're stored in your joints. And so it can help remove those, but it doesn't leach minerals from your actual bones.
Yeah. Actually, rainwater is actually distilled, I heard. So that's what we're supposed to be drinking. But once it hits the ground, it goes through the dirt and takes up all the inorganic minerals like Jennifer was talking about. And so we have to redistill it. I have a distiller. That's all I drink. It's on my counter. I paid $200 for it like maybe 8 years ago, and it's still going strong. It makes a gallon a day. It's a Mega Home brand. You can still get them for like 220 right now, and they're
Mhm.
great. Um,
I have
I,
one too. Mine makes a gallon in every like 3.5 hours.
well, that's
And
good.
so mine pretty much runs all day.
Yeah,
If I'm home, I have it on all day and I just store a bunch of water in glass jars, not plastic. But that's
yeah.
all we drink here in our home too, is distilled water. And we do drink things like green juices, and we eat a very high mineral rich diet. And so for those of you who are concerned about the minerals that are being leached from the water, we don't want the inorganic minerals. If you think about your where you live, it's not where everybody lives, but especially where I live, we have such hard water. It's called hard water because it's inorganic minerals, that our toilets, you have to scrub with a pumice stone every week to prevent a buildup of those minerals. Well, when we're drinking that water, those minerals, they're clogging up your liver, they're clogging up your kidneys, they're getting put in your joints. We don't want those minerals. We want the minerals that come in our foods. They're already absorbed into the foods, into our juices, that's easily assimilated into our body. It's in a completely different form. At the School of Natural Healing, they called it organic and inorganic, where in our world, we use that term completely differently. But it's assimilated and not assimilated. So that one form, that chemical structure is slightly different when it comes through the ground, like those rocks versus through the plants. And so we want the minerals that are in the plants, that chemical structure.
And that reminds me of Dr. Christopher. He, even though all the knowledge he had crippling arthritis. He was actually in a wheelchair for a while, and he couldn't figure out what to do about it. He was, taking the herbs, eating plant-based, but he met some guy that was selling distilled water. And Dr. Christopher just decided to try the distilled water, and he started drinking the distilled water, and his arthritis got better because his was caused by deposits for some reason. Well, he said that when he was younger, well, he was drinking the tap water. And so he started
Mm.
drinking distilled water and started to get the deposits off the joints. He's able to walk again. I remember that story. That's how important it is. And if you ask, there's a lot of, if you want to learn more about distilled water, I can't think of the guy's name, but he used to work for a water treatment plant. And he said that if you work there, you will never drink anything other than distilled water again. So, um,
I believe that.
yeah.
Yes. So in natural healing, so we start with moving the bowels. We want to make
Hmm.
sure that you're going to the bathroom every day, and we want to make sure you're drinking good, clean water. That alone is going to make such tremendous benefits. That's just really going to benefit you greatly. When we talk about moving the bowels, think about your babies, think about your puppies. Every time you feed them a large amount, they go to the bathroom. And that is what we are supposed to do. And so, like I was saying earlier, in the classroom, we learn to hold it. We learn it's inappropriate at certain times. When we're little, maybe even before we go to the class, we're taught that it's, poop is dirty, poop is gross. Don't touch the poop, it's nasty, that kind of thing. And so we turn away from it. Some children even hold it, they're afraid to poop because it's too dirty, too gross. It's shameful. We're shamed by pooping. And so we have to kind of reteach ourselves that poop is okay. No, you don't need to go touch the poop, but you do need to listen to your body's signals, restore those signals by increasing motility. Now, if you have thyroid conditions, certain thyroid conditions, especially Hashimoto's, they slow down the whole digestive system and can even wear down the contractions that help move things along in your intestinal tract. And so a lot of times we have to work on things, and there are herbs that can help with the motility to help push things along. And restoring thyroid balance helps with that as well. But first of all, we have to get pooping. You have to move the bowels. Every time you have a large meal, you should have a bowel movement. We are physically set up where when the stomach expands, a nerve signal is sent down to the ileocecal valve in the lower right quadrant of your abdomen to open and push things along. It says, now it's time for us to move, and it moves everything. And so you should poop 30 minutes after a large meal. Anytime your stomach expands like that, that signal should be sent to tell you to go poop. And now some people have the opposite problem. Some people go all day long, think foods just kind of shoot right through them. And so that's something different. We're glad your bowels are moving, but then we need to figure out, why is it going through too quickly? And we need to slow things down, because then you're not even absorbing any nutrients if it's flying through your intestines. We absorb most of our nutrients in the small intestine, and we need to make sure that your foods are going slow enough. And maybe they're slow enough in the small intestine, but your large intestine is inflamed and it's shooting through there, and you're just not absorbing that water. That could be it too, but it's finding where your imbalance is.
Yes, once we start to get the bowels regulated, and usually, I mean, that's the first thing I work on with clients is we make
Yeah.
sure, it usually takes 2 or 3 months, and we're doing the plant-based. We're trying to ease into it, like Jennifer was saying. If it's not something that's going to kill you tomorrow, we can start to ease into the plant-based diet, because a lot of people have a hard time with the transition. They really do.
Right.
I mean, I did. I mean, that was like 10 years ago. But once we start to look at the diet and the bowels, we want to look at movement. Like, I'm talking not bowel movements, but how you move your body, because that's part of natural healing is exercise. Walking, rebounding on a trampoline is really good for a lot of people. I like riding my bicycle, but it's relaxing for me. And I do think everybody should do some sort of resistance training. It could be body weight training. You can work out with dumbbells or barbells or machines, whatever you choose to use, because it's very important to maintain your muscle strength. Because, I mean, a lot of older people in nursing homes, they're there because they're so frail. They can no longer go to the grocery store and pick up their groceries and things like that. So, and also strength training increases your bone mass, and osteoporosis is a big problem as a lot of us get older. And strength training can actually help reverse osteoporosis. So,
Right. Right. Yeah, we have to move and put the pressure on the bones
mm.
in whatever form that is, and move the lymph system as well. Yeah.
And then the next big thing, I think, is your emotions. And this is where I have a problem. So we're not perfect.
No.
We're just teachers.
Right. Right. Yes, we store emotions in our body, and it's learning how to release emotions and learning how to express emotions. A lot of times we don't realize where we're storing these different things. Fear and anger, in the liver. And a lot of times when we do cleanses, we notice Maybe we're crying more, maybe we're weepy, maybe we're having outbursts. It's all a part of the cleansing process. And so we don't realize, it seems so woo-woo that we would store these emotions, but they've seen even in studies. It's funny, I had clients talking about this earlier this week, and I remember the book several years ago where they looked at water. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but if you look at water droplets or the effects of the water, like in your glass, and when they look at water molecules, when you're showing signs of gratitude and love, they look like snowflakes. They're very uniform. But if you're angry or you are in a rage, those molecules, they're not only not uniform, they actually look aggressive, the water molecules. And so at one time they even had people putting like messages on their water bottles or writing on a piece of paper love and putting it with their water, whatever. But that just shows you, if it does that to a water molecule, well, guess what? You're made up of water. And
Yeah.
so we want to make sure we're doing things like that. Is how important it is to think about. So another topic we haven't talked about is rest. Our body digests and rests and repairs and rest. And so we have to have moments of stress relief and doing things like just expressing gratitude. When you wake up, think of 3 things you're grateful for today before you go to bed. Thinking of 3 things you're grateful for today, that changes the molecules in your body. And so, like I said, it sounds so woo-woo, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful for your whole body system. Not only does it help with your molecules, it helps with your mindset too. If you just sit here for a minute and just think of 3 things that you're grateful for, it can change your whole demeanor.
It's amazing. I've seen those studies. To me, I mean, that's very uplifting. Think that we have so much power over our
Yes.
destiny just by the thoughts that we have. So
Right.
if you're sick right now and your thoughts are crummy, well, think
Yeah.
about it. If you
Yeah.
start to change the way you think, hey, if you want to look into more of this is very interesting to you, look up, oh God, of course I can't think of his name, the chiropractor. The dude that teaches them how to meditate and they start to heal things. What is his name? Well, I can't think of it, but that's the trouble with live TV, right? But he has a
It'll
whole
come to you.
program. It teaches you how to meditate and it teaches you how to have gratitude. And these people are having healings from severe, I mean, things like cancer and
Yeah.
um, things that are supposed to be incurable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and they're
Right.
all doing it with their thoughts and emotions. That's how powerful this is. And this is a budding science, but it is very empowering, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is to me too. And it's something that's totally in your control.
Joe Dispenza, that's his name, Joe
Joe
Dispenza.
Dispenza, yes,
Yes,
yes.
his check it is awesome. It's really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been a great way to start the discussion of natural healing. So Dan and I both work with clients individually as well. We're pretty choosy about our one-on-one clients. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be accepting of making changes and willing to put in the work. But we would love to work with you. There is information about us in the show notes and in our links in our bio. So please contact us because we can help you. Yes, and we would love to at least contact you and discuss what some options are. So please contact us if you need help. Also, please comment if you like this episode. Please let us know what else you would like to hear about and learn about. If you didn't like this episode, tell us why so that we can make this something that is useful for you. But thank you for joining us today. We will see you next time.